أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا فيضاعفه له وله أجر كريم يوم ترى المؤمنين والمؤمنات يسعى نورهم بين أيديهم وبأيمانهم بشراكم اليوم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها ذلك هو الفوز العظيم. So we continue Surah Al-Hadid. We are on ayah number 11. Just before continuing to the ayah that we're on, the beginning of the surah, it said, هُوَ الْأَوَّلُ وَالْآخِرُ. Allah Azza wa Jal is the first and the last. And I happened to read a few tafseers, and a thought came into my mind to share regarding the ayah. When we think about Allah Azza wa Jal and we think about time, it's something for us to ponder upon. Allah Azza wa Jal is the beginning, the end, creator of time. There isn't a timeline for Allah Azza wa Jal. The scholars say, right, regarding Azaliyah and Abadiyah of Allah Azza wa Jal, that time of yesterday and tomorrow and today is all the same for Allah Azza wa Jal. Right? For Allah Azza wa Jal, there isn't a today, there isn't a yesterday, there isn't a tomorrow. Right? This all applies to His khalq, His creation. As for Allah Azza wa Jal, the way He sees things, and this is the way the scholars explain it, that there isn't a today or a tomorrow or a yesterday, because the past or the future or the present, they're all equal. For Allah sees them the same way. For us, time is linear. Right? We go in a linear direction. For us, time is linear. We go forward, we move forward, and we develop. This is the way Allah Azza wa Jal has created human development. And so in the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the human being, He talks about how this human being is first something weak, a child, then becomes very strong, and then is returned to weakness. Right? So when the human being reaches old age, then that human being actually returns back to the same weakness that human being had when they were in childhood. This is a very known factor regarding human development, as we understand from the Quran and from Hadith, that when a person reaches a certain age, that their development starts to go back to childhood. Right? For a human being, we think that I'm always developing, I'm always increasing, and the person I am today is bigger than the person I was yesterday. Now when you think of this, then in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, that for Allah Azza wa Jal, today, yesterday, and tomorrow is the same. Then you humble yourself a bit, that as much as I think I am today, right, maybe it's not so great. And when I reach even an older age, right, that Allah Azza wa Jal shows me that you didn't develop much. Right? He returns you right back to childhood. As much as you thought you developed, Allah returns you right back to the way you were in the beginning. To show you that you are created weak, and you will be resurrected as a weak human being in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. So beg Allah for His mercy, because He is the beginning, from Him everything came, and to Him everything will return. So as much as the person thinks that they've developed and they've become bigger, whether in knowledge or in wealth or in power, Allah shows them that it will disappear and that none of it belongs to them. So this is something to ponder upon, right? When we think about, because when we think about Allah Azza wa Jal's names, we should think about us in opposition of those names. If Allah is Qadir, ever powering, right, carries all power, we are ajiz, we are unable to do things. If Allah is Qawi, we are da'if, we are weak. Allah is strong, we are weak. If Allah is Ghani, right? If Allah is Ghani, He named himself Ghani, independent of all richness. He named An-Nas, the people, Fuqara, Antumul Fuqara, you are needy. Right? So in opposition of these names, we see then our humanness, and that humbles us. And this is something to think about. Going back to ayah number 11. Allah Azza wa Jal, we spoke about last week regarding the spending and how Allah Azza wa Jal wants the spending within the Muslim community to be of a generous nature, and this will build the strength of the community. Right? The surah is Hadid. Hadid is iron, which is strength, and so this strength is then we're guided to this strength, how to build the strength in the community, and that is through spending on that which is valuable in the eyes of Allah Azza wa Jal. So then Allah Himself encourages the people in a very beautiful manner, a nadbun baligh, a very eloquent manner. He encourages the people, which is, He says, "Man dhal ladhi yuqridu Allah qardan hasana." That who is it that shall loan to Allah a good loan, a hasana, beautiful loan, good loan? Who is to loan Allah? Now, Allah Azza wa Jal could have said, just give your wealth for me because it belongs to me. There are places Allah says, give from them the wealth that Allah has given you. Even this is a very kind manner, gentle manner. And this is why people should encourage in a manner which will encourage nobility. Right? Not in a very difficult manner. In a manner which Allah Azza wa Jal Himself encouraged, which is a noble manner. Lahu ajrun kareem. Allah Azza wa Jal says that so that we shall multiply it for him, such that for him there shall be a noble, gracious reward. There will be a noble reward, ajrun kareem. So who is going to loan Allah? So this is a isti'ara, a rhetorical manner of saying that who is going to give in the path of Allah? Who is going to give in the path of Allah? And this refers to firstly, it refers to not just the qard that we think that you give a loan and then you give the loan back, you get the loan back, but rather it refers to sadaqah. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal is encouraging one who gives for the sake of Allah that He will multiply and He will increase it. A sadaqah is also a qard, it's also a loan. Right? What is it? You give for the sake of Allah now, in hopes that He will return to you a much greater amount in the hereafter. He will return to you a much greater amount in the hereafter. So Muslims are supposed to have tawakkul in the manner that they deal with monetary funds. And then this goes on to the manner and etiquette of how we should loan as well. That the fundamental principle of how a Muslim economy should give loans, which is interest-free, qard hasan, interest-free, right, is in this manner as well. Then they'll be given a very noble reward. Giving qard is also sometimes, because it comes in a hadith, one narration, that it is even greater than giving sadaqah. Okay? Giving a interest-free loan. Now Allah Azza wa Jalla said qard hasan, meaning that you give this wealth in a manner which is also beautiful. Right? So if you give a loan to someone, after you give them the loan, if you bully them for your money back, that's not necessarily a very good manner of giving a loan. Imam Alusi rahimahullah mentions 10 etiquettes when giving wealth. He says when you give wealth, you should have 10 characteristics. One, that the wealth should be halal, because Allah only accepts that which is pure. It should be from the most honorable, best that that person owns. It should be in the condition that that person is healthy and greedy, meaning that you can use that wealth to buy yourself something luxurious, but instead you give it in the path of Allah. And that you as it comes in the hadith, right? This is taken from the hadith. And that person fears poverty, but he places it in a place which is more needy than himself, to hide his sadaqah. And then, أَنْ لَا يُتْبِعَهُ بِالْمَنِّ وَالْأَذَى, as it comes in the Quran. You shouldn't follow it with, I did a favor, do you remember my favor? And then hurt the person, right? This is man, that you count your favors over people. You should seek by the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. And you should look down on your own giving. So don't think, oh, I gave a lot. No, I gave a little. Even if it's a lot, you think that you gave a little. And it should be from the most beloved of wealth to you. And you should try to give it to the needy person or whoever you're giving it to in a manner which is more secret, so that that person also is veiled. That person is also veiled. So these are very beautiful etiquettes in when giving in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal that we should try to follow. So who is going to give a loan to Allah Azza wa Jal? This is a very beautiful, elegant manner in which Allah Azza wa Jal is encouraging the believers to give for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that your noble and great reward will be for you in where? In the hereafter. يَوْمَ تَرَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَسْعَى نُورُهُمْ. As the next ayah goes, on that day when you shall see the believing men and the believing women, their own light streaming before them. Yas'a nuruhum. Sa'a means to run. So it's their light is running ahead of them. It's in front of them. Bayna aydihim wa bi aymanihim. Before them and to their right. It shall be said to them, the glad tidings, Bushrakum al-yawma jannat. Glad tidings for you this day are gardens beneath which rivers flow, wherein you shall abide forever. So in this ayah, Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks about an imagery for us as well on the day of resurrection. How will it be, as it comes in hadith, that on the day of resurrection there will be darkness, so much darkness that a person will not be able to see his own feet. So then some people will have light, right? Enough light, and the light comes from their right hand. The people of righteousness, their light will come from their right hand. And that will be ala qadri a'malihim, on the level of their actions. On the level of their actions. So there are some, as it comes in the hadith, that their actions will be great and their light will be like a jabal, like a mountain. Some their light will be like a palm tree. Some their light will only be enough that they could see their feet in what is in front of them. And their light will turn on and off, on and off. This will be the condition of some. And when will this take place? The ulama mention, they say during when the people are on the mahshar, and also during the crossing of the sirat. During the crossing of the sirat. Both opinions are mentioned here regarding when they will need this light. And we also know that they will be given, the people will be given, the righteous people will be given their books in their right hands. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ mentioned these things as a sign of his ummah. He actually mentioned in a hadith that my ummah will be special in that they will have, their light will be special, the way they're given their books will be special. All of this will be unique to them. And then he said in another hadith that I will know my ummah from the light that comes from them. When he was asked how so, he said that they will be ghur muhajjalin. Ghur means when the horse has a little bit of whiteness on its forehead. Muhajjalun, they will have this light coming from them, right? Which will be from the traces of their wudu, min athar al-wudu. And it will not be for anyone else but them. And so I will know that they are my ummah, they are my people. And other ahadith mention similarly as well, that the nations will gather and each will be given their light. And so even the nations before as well, they will have a certain light which will guide them. But the light of the ummah of Muhammad ﷺ will be specific, as the ahadith point towards. And then this light will guide them towards the heavens. And it will be said to them, Bushrakum al-yawm, that glad tidings to you, this is your paradise. This is your paradise, and ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ. This is the great and magnificent triumph, great victory, great triumph. Right? It will be then said after that, the example of the hypocrites. يَوْمَ يَقُولُ الْمُنَافِقُونَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ. Right? So the day of the great victory of the believers is the day of the embarrassment of the hypocrites. So as the ayah is connected to what is before it. So the success of the believers, right, the success of the believers is on the day of when the light of the believers will flow ahead of them. And that is connected to giving in the path of Allah. As for the munafiqun and the terrible condition they will be in, this is connected to the success of the believers. Why? Because when they will see the success of the believers, it will hurt them even more. It will hurt them even more that all they had to do was be sincere in this life, and they could have been where the believers are. They could have been where the believers are. And in this ayah, Allah Azza wa Jal talks to us about another ayah which we can understand. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran that إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهَ وَهُوَ خَادِعُهُمْ. That the hypocrites, they try to cheat Allah, deceive Allah, and Allah will deceive them. وَهُوَ خَادِعُهُمْ. Allah will deceive them. So what will happen here? The munafiqun will say to the believers that unzuruna, wait for us. And the narrations and the way the mufassirun picture it is that either on the mawqif or on the sirat, in the middle of the sirat, Allah will give them some light, and then they'll walk, and then on the middle of the sirat, Allah will turn their light off. Allah Azza wa Jalla protect us. Allah will turn their light off, and then they'll scream out that to the believers, wait for us. Let us naqtabis min nurikum, let us take some light from you. Let us take some light from you. And so this is what Allah Azza wa Jal, the Mufassir mentioned, this is what Allah Azza wa Jal, is a picture of what Allah Azza wa Jal is saying, that they make joke of Allah's deen. So Allah yastahzi'u bihim. Now Allah will turn them into a joke. Allah yastahzi'u bihim. Allah will turn them into a joke. Right? قِيلَ ارْجِعُوا وَرَاءَكُمْ. It will be said to them that turn back, return back to retrieve. The translator here has done his own tafsir. Return back and seek light. قِيلَ ارْجِعُوا وَرَاءَكُمْ. Return behind you, go back to where, as the tafsir of Muqatil rahimahullah says, that go back to the source of the light. It will be said to them, and this will be said as a way of increasing their punishment. That now go back and seek it once again. You had the chance, you didn't take it, now go back, return to the source of light. فَالْتَمِسُوا نُورًا. And go seek light for yourself. When they will do so, فَضُرِبَ بَيْنَهُمْ بِسُورٍ لَهُ بَابٍ. Thereupon a wall that has a door shall be imposed between them. So then a wall will be made between them and the believers. بَاطِنُهُ فِيهَا الرَّحْمَةِ وَظَاهِرُهُ مِنْ قِبَلِهِ الْعَذَابِ. Its interior will be all mercy. That will be the side of the believers. وَظَاهِرُهُ, its exterior, outer side, will be punishment and torment. So there, what is this exactly exemplifying? This is exemplifying the nifaq of the hypocrites. That, and specific as, this always refers to the time of Rasulullah ﷺ first, but entirely to the entire ummah as well. That a hypocrite is so near, there's just one wall they have to break down. Right? There's just one wall they have to break down in this life. If they were to put that barrier aside in this life, then they wouldn't go to that torment in the hereafter, and may Allah Azza wa Jalla protect us. يُنَادُونَهُمْ أَلَمْ نَكُمْ مَعَكُمْ. They will call out, the hypocrites shall cry out to the believers, that weren't we from amongst you? Were we not with you in that life? أَلَمْ نَكُمْ مَعَكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَى. They will say that, yeah, you were indeed. وَلَكِنَّكُمْ فَتَنْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. But you tempted your own souls. وَتَرَبَّصْتُمْ. And these are all the qualities of the munafiq. that you tempted yourselves, you tempted your own selves, right? You created fitna for the people around you, and then you created fitna for yourself. Right? Creating fitna is the quality of a munafiq, and the fitna is so hated in the deen. Why? To create fitna. Because as Ali radhiyallahu anhu describes it, he says that the fatan, the person who creates fitna, he'll create it in a few moments, and then that fitna remains. The stench of it remains for months, for time, for a very long time. This is the problem with fitna. It'll corrupt many people after. وَتَرَبَّصْتُمْ, and you had this eager anticipation. This referring to the munafiqun of the time of Rasulullah ﷺ first, that they were waiting, that when are the Muslims going to be overtaken, or when will someone take the life of the Prophet ﷺ. This was something they waited for. And this is why they were cheaters and deceived the believers at that time, because they always showed that they were with the Prophet ﷺ and with the Sahaba, but they were not. They were always waiting that when will something bad happen to them. وَتَرَبَّصْتُمْ وَارْتَبْتُمْ, and you had doubt. Right? Having doubt in the faith is a sign of hypocrisy. وَارْتَبْتُمْ, that you had doubt in the faith. وَغَرَّتْكُمُ الْأَمَانِي, and the worldly fancies deluded you. غَرَّتْكُمُ الْأَمَانِي, all the hopes and all the worldly desires, these things, they deluded you. حَتَّى جَاءَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ, until that moment when Allah's decree came down. For many this is death, until the death comes down. When the death comes down, then you'll realize that وَغَرَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ, that shaitan has clearly deluded you. Allah Azza wa Jal names shaitan as gharoor, the one who cheats, deceives. Right? He deceives the people. So, وَغَرَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ, that you were deceived, right, by the shaitan. So this is a imagery in which Allah Azza wa Jal gives regarding on the day of Qiyamah, what will be the condition of the believers. And so this connects back to giving for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Giving for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal is one of the ways that a person proves his sincerity and loyalty to Allah Azza wa Jal. It proves that a person is sincere, that they'll give. Why? It's not just how much you give away. It's about the fact that this dunya doesn't mean anything to you and you're willing to give it up for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. And so that is the etiquette of giving. And it returns back to, I was mentioning because Allah Azza wa Jal is also giving to us a vision of a strong Muslim society. That a strong Muslim society, when they have a system of giving loans, that it's based on tawakkul. Right? It's based on relying upon Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? Although there are ways in which an Islamic government would document and take care of these matters, but if a person takes your wealth and deceives you, then what? Allah Azza wa Jal will give you better, right? Allah Azza wa Jal will give you better. It's not the all in all. It's not the end of the world, right? Wealth is not the end of the world. Right? The reason why this is important to understand is because a modern day economist will tell you that the system of giving loans today is necessary, and that there has to be interest, and that organizations have to put certain things in play for them to create wealth, right? But an Islamic, right, with this, and this is what today's study of Islamic finances is having difficulty with, but trying to seek a solution for it, which is how to create a system of giving loans, right, without interest. Now this is very difficult in a non-Muslim community or a non-Muslim society, which is why Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah distinguished between a Muslim government and a non-Muslim government in monetary function, and how money is given or taken, and how these different transactions take place. But in a Muslim society, right, people give loans and they give it for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they don't ask for interest. This is the way that a Muslim gives loan. And they don't follow it with any harm to the person that they give loan. When you follow your loan with interest, or you bully them, right, then the whole virtue of giving that loan is lost. And beyond that as well, then giving sadaqah as well, the different etiquettes that we mentioned. And this is what strengthens a Muslim society and then grants them nur in the hereafter, light in the hereafter. May Allah Azza wa Jal grant us understanding of these ayat and forgive us for any shortcoming in our attempt to understand His perfect word. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Sadaqallahu al-azim. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanallahi wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta.